Many couples are suffering from what Tammy and I call weenie communication. And
All right, I always have to say it. It's not the body part.
Why do you say that?
I can't stand this acronym, but it's a good
terrible
acronym at the same
but they're
time.
going to remember it, so it works. All right. So weenie, we want to talk to you not just about the wimpy way of communicating through charades, but some other things here. This is like communication pitfalls, and Tammy and I, since we work with couples every day of the week, these are the most common ones we see. And so we threw them in the form of an acronym here to help you guys remember them, but also then to avoid them. Because how many of you know, and we drove a couple of streets here last night, and I hit a couple of potholes, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, and we got them in Lafayette too, don't worry about it. But I know where they are in Lafayette. See, that's the thing. You all know where they are, don't you? You're like, oh, you could do this, without even looking. I didn't know where they were. I hit all of them yesterday. But in Lafayette, I know where they are. But here they are. If you know where these potholes are, you will hit them less, right? And we're going to help you not do that.
So let's just go through them really quick. W stands for withdraw. Just write it on your paper, and then we'll go back over and explain it a little bit better. E stands for escalation. And the N stands for negative interpretation. Oops, did I skip past it? Yeah, I did. And then the I stands for invalidation. Okay, so Todd, you want to start with E?
Yeah, I like to start with E rather than W. W-E-N-I is easy to remember, but E is kind of sometimes where things begins. And that is, you have a situation like we were talking about before. Somebody's charading an emotion, something's going on, and you say, what is wrong with you, or whatever. And I'll tell you what's wrong with me is that you didn't, and you get the scenario out there, and you get the feelings going, and then you get, and all the words speed up, and all the back and forth starts happening, and the face gets red, and the nose gets red, and then words are exchanged, and then tit for tat starts happening, and you know where this goes, right? Escalation begins to happen in the argument. And some people escalate and they get louder and faster and higher and more animated. And some people escalate in that they can stay calm in it, but they just get tense, more tensed up. And they're talking and they're sharing. But the next thing you know, one of you says something they didn't either mean to say, or one of you says something to gain power or control over the other, and you end up in big words, desperate words, and it could be something from, hey, why didn't you take the trash out again today? You know it's Wednesday. It's always been Wednesday for the last 6 years since we got this trash company. Why didn't you take the trash out? I had to take the trash out today. Do you know that I had to get up and do all these things and blah, 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 and your mother and, all this, right? Everything comes to play in the argument. And then next thing you know, you get to this jumping off point at the top. And we've had couples who have told us about their escalations, and they got to cuss words, like, well, screw you and F you and the whole thing, right? Like all kinds of really big animated things.
And many times that they get to that point, it's not just the cuss words, it's the big D word that comes out.
They're like, I don't even know why we're together. We're like, wow, we started at the garbage needed to be taken out, and we ended at, I don't even know why we're together. And we hear it all the time. Now, I'm not saying that's you in your relationship. Maybe you're not going that far in your escalations, but that's how far sometimes it gets. And you get to this desperate point. And
let me just take a poll. Who will be honest with me? Who is really quick and fast with their words? They can think on their feet and they can just go, go, go,
She can make my head spin with how fast she can think and speak.
Whereas with him, he feels, pelted with bullets and darts, and he just backs up and starts to freeze, and then gets more and more frustrated internally, right? Because I'm pelting him, and he starts getting madder and madder, yet shutting down further and further. So that's kind of how
I'm shutting down only to build up like a soda bottle that's been shaken, and then bah, then I'll just explode. Now, that's obviously some pretty weak sauce there, but that's what a lot of people do. They escalate in their situation of conflict in their marriages, and they end up saying and doing things. And so sometimes then one of the things at the top of escalation is the W, if you want to go back. It's the withdraw. One of them will withdraw.
So a lot of times you get to this point where those words are said, that big D word or the cuss words, or we've had couples, you name it, they've done it. Hit each other or whatever.
Throw things. Whatever.
Throw things. They get to then this withdraw point. This is the time where we've heard a lot of our couples not only just withdraw from each other within the house, that usually one of them ends up leaving the house.
Y'all heard that country song, What Kind of Gone Are We Talking About Here? You ever heard that song? I'm getting older. Every time I use this illustration, people are like, I don't know, what are you talking about? The lyrics go, she's gone for the day, or gone for the night, or gone for the rest of your doggone life. And then it goes, is this a whiskey night or just a couple beers? What kind of gone are we talking about here, right? That's the way the song goes. It's a funny song. I thought it was a funny song. I don't know, maybe you guys, look it up. Anyway, the point is, what kind of gone is this? And you all know what it feels like when somebody leaves the argument or leaves the situation, and you feel the distance and you feel the insecurity that comes with it. You're like, what kind of gone is this? Is it over? How gone are we right now? Are we going to be ever going to talk about this? Are we going to get back to this? Is he coming back? Is she coming back? Is she going to her mom's? What just happened? And so we can leave each other in a very insecure place when we withdraw. So, of course, Tammy and I, we coach people to, hey, if you got to do a withdrawal, because we understand escalation especially, but if you got to do a withdrawal, we'd rather you do a timeout than a withdrawal. A timeout is way different. A withdrawal is a very insecure experience of someone just leaving an argument. A timeout says, well, it's just like it is in a basketball game or whatever, or a football game, right? They whistle off. They say, hey, I need to take a timeout. And by the way, when you take a timeout, you can't call a timeout for the other team. That would probably escalate it even further. You need a timeout, right? Like, that would be not so great. You can call one for yourself. I need a timeout. I need to towel off like they do when they take a timeout. I need a few moments to think about what we've been arguing about, what we're talking about. And I want to come back to you in just a few minutes. I'll get back in the game, and we can talk it through further. But right now, I'm too escalated, or I'm out of control with my thoughts and emotions. I just want to take a time out. And then Tammy and I, we've learned that I should offer her some assurance about our relationship. So when I do a timeout with her now, if we start to get in the escalated moment, I'll say, babe, I need to take a time out. I love you. We're bigger than this. We're going to get past it. I just need some time. How about after we put the kids to bed tonight, we talk about this some more? Now, that's completely different than whatever. Screw you. I'm out of here, right? And gone. And now what? When are we ever going to get back together?
So this goes back to one of the highest needs of a female is that love. Have you heard the highest need of a male is respect? Highest need of a female is love / security, right? Within a female, they need to know that secure feeling. And so as soon as somebody gets out of the conversation, and that is all the security is lost. And so when he can tell me that conversation we will come back to that conversation, that calms that need for security, right? Then I don't have to say, will we ever talk about this again? Will he just sweep it under the rug? Will we, act like it never happened? Will we wake up with a smile on our faces tomorrow morning and everything will be all right, right? So that helps me know that he is intending to come back to the conversation, and we're going to talk about this again.
We resonate a little bit on the first two. A little bit? Somewhat? All right, well, if not those, how about these? Negative interpretation. Now, this kind of goes with the charades thing we were talking about a little bit ago. Negative interpretation is, especially after we've had a cycle of things that have been going not so great between us, I can just start interpreting everything she's doing as something negative. And so, again, she might sigh. I would negatively interpret that. Oh, I'm in trouble. Oh, she's got a big deal going on in her head. She's whatever. She might do something else where, she just is withdrawn and is focused on something. And I'm sitting over here thinking, she's not talking to me. And I would assign a bunch of reasons or motives to why she's being quiet. And I would just do a bunch of guesswork in my own head as to why my wife is quiet for the moment.
Negative interpretation happens a lot when we have a past with this particular conflict. So in our history, what time Todd would be home from work was a conflict. We had a past with this question. It was always a really hard question. In ministry, sometimes you just never know who's going to need you or what time. But what time will you be home? So that question alone was a very hard question in our past, okay? So fast forward, and we'll get to some of our testimony later on, but fast forward past our crisis moment in our marriage through our healing time. We had to figure out, so if this question has a negative interpretation already associated with it, what are we going to do? How are we going to ask this question differently? Okay? So if I were to ask him before our healing moment, before our crisis moment in our marriage, what time are you going to be home, Todd?
I would take that as, you think I don't know how to manage my time. You think that I value everybody else above you. You think that I don't care about you and that I'm not, whatever. And I would assign all of this to a question.
Or I would think you're such a people pleaser, so you don't even know what time you're going to be home because you're going to please all of those other people before you come home to us. Or you are so bad with time, you don't even know what time is around here. You don't even know that so-and-so has to be to soccer by this time, and this time is the time they get off the bus, and you're so bad with time that you don't even know that time is important to the rest of my evening because you don't care. So that's how I'm negatively interpreting this whole situation.
So a question can be negatively interpreted.
So that was before our healing moment, and then when we discovered that this question has a really bad negative interpretation to it. So we would need to say it something like this: "Hey Todd, I was trying to plan out dinner and carpools for the rest of the evening. Do you know what time you might be able to be home for dinner?"
See, the different way of setting up the whole question gave me, let me off the hook, or let my brain off the hook from going down the road of negative interpretation, because she prefaced the question with what the needs were. She asserted what was needed before she said, "What time will you be home?" So when you look at your relationship and you look back and you can see, you start to find these places where you are negatively interpreting your spouse in many ways, whether it's actions, whether it's questions, whether it's inaction, whether it's quietness. Like, you have a way of interpreting all of that. And sometimes you're right, and many times you're also wrong. And today we want you to start to see where it is that might be happening, and to question yourself a little bit about your negative interpretations of your spouse.
So write preface your question in your notes, because I know without a shadow of a doubt you guys have these moments that keep coming back around and back around and back around. And you have to do something different. Dr. Phil, good old Dr. Phil, doing the same thing hasn't worked for you, so you got to do something different, right?
Yeah, how's that working for you?
How's that working for you, right? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. What's that? Insanity. Exactly.
Oh, these guys are good.
So we need to do something different. So if you know that this is a trigger point within your marriage, if it's a question, if it's a time of day, preface it. Get past the old way and start a new way. Preface it. The last one is invalidation. So Todd and I had a really hard time with this one.
And so I didn't get this for forever, guys, because, again, it seemed like I was doing the right thing. But the thing is that Tammy was feeling things, and I was invalidating things. I'd say things like, or especially when it was between her and I, she might come home and be like, "I really felt like, I really feel like, frustrated that you didn't do something that you said you were going to do." I can't even give you a good illustration. The point was, I would say, "You shouldn't feel that way because I didn't mean it that way." Right? You shouldn't feel that way because I didn't mean it that way. And so why would you feel that?
Or if I would have said, "I felt lonely today that you didn't give me a call and check in on us after I had that doctor's appointment." "Oh, I'm sorry. I had so much to do. I had meeting after meeting after meeting."
So I explain where I was, what I was doing, right? And I didn't think that was invalidating. I think that was explaining, but in the sense that I didn't say, "I can see why you felt lonely." instead, I would just tell her why she shouldn't feel lonely. Oh, I had a bunch of things. I had a meeting, and then a meeting, and then a thing, and then a lunch with so-and-so. And by the way, what'd you eat for lunch? Oh, peanut butter again today? Sorry about that.
No, I had peanut butter crust, thank you.
Oh, there you go. And so, and I'm out doing these things, and yeah, I could see why she felt lonely. But instead of validating that she felt that way, I'd say, well, you shouldn't have, because you knew this was going to be a long day for me.
Invalidation is heavy in your more heavy in your marriage than you know it is.
Mm-hmm. So I want you to think about these things, because again, just like I know where the potholes are on Teal Road in Lafayette, Indiana, if you know these potholes are happening in your relationship, you'll avoid them better and more, and especially when we turn the page later on this afternoon to help you have a better way of communicating all together.
All right, it says bonus letter.
Bonus letter, we got
there.
WENIs. We're going to talk about WENIs for a minute, because this one was fully alive in our relationship. Sarcasm. Let's talk about it for a minute, Tamara.
He points to me because I will admit I was the
Queen?
Queen, okay. But there is a king over there.
I'm funny. She's sarcastic.
That wasn't sarcasm, was it?
She's snappy sarcastic. I'm funny sarcastic. Anyway, but no, she might come. Like, Tammy would come in, and we'd all be, like, on our technology in the family room, right? Some of us doing homework on our laptop.
I had just cooked dinner.
Yeah.
I had prepped it. I had gone to the grocery store. I had done everything.
What are you trying to say?
I fed the whole family their meal, and what do? Get up from the table, leave everything, and walk to go do their technology.
So we're doing homework. We're doing technology.
Oh, yeah, you're doing homework.
I'm working on something for the church or whatever, right? I'm scrolling through Facebook. That's what I'm doing. But, whatever. And then Tammy comes around the corner, right? And she goes, "It's okay, everybody. Matter of fact, go ahead. There's some chair rests there. If you want to pull the rest back on the couch there, everybody just relax. I have got this. I enjoyed making your dinner for you and everything. I hope you really like that too.
I enjoy the 3 hours that it took me to get here to this point, and I'll take another hour and a half and spend my night in the kitchen because I love it so much."
Yeah, and then she'd turn around and walk out. And I'd look at the kids, and they'd look at me, and we're like, "Oh, jeez." Yeah, 1, 2, 3, not it. Yeah. And I'm like, "Come on!" And everybody would get up, and we'd all go, and we'd all whatever, try to do desperate acts of service, bumping into each other. Y'all are laughing because you do this. Desperate acts of service. We try to appease Mom. She's still not happy though, even after we clean up the whole thing and it shines like the top of the Chrysler Building. Miss Hannigan. Anyway, so we... Sarcasm. So we get there, and then what do? As soon as that's over, everybody disperses. Nobody went back to the family room. Everybody would go to their room, down in the basement, over to a friend's house, whatever we could do to get away for the rest of the night. Because this would blow up our entire night as a family. And so she'd get sarcastic. We would comply.
What was I feeling when I came into the family room and said, "That's okay, I got it"? Put a feeling word to what I was feeling. What? Unappreciated. What else? Frustrated. Yeah. What? Angry. Disrespected. Good. What else?
Invalidated. Overwhelmed is the word I think I saw in her when I was witnessing this.
Because I had a day, right? I didn't sit on my tush all day long. I did all of these other things, took care of the kids, did all these things. I would love to be sitting on my tush on my phone right now, right? And I'm overwhelmed with all that I still have to do in the evening. So what if I would have came into this family room like this? "Hey guys, I know we've all had a long day. I'm overwhelmed at the amount of things that I still have to do as well. Would you mind coming in, give me a few minutes of your time, helping me out with the kitchen, and then we can all get to all of the things that we need to, homework and things like that?" How different of a conversation that would have been in the family room instead of the conversation I had previously.
And how different of a night might have we had? Because at the end of doing all the tasks, we might have all returned to the family room and had more time together. But